And we're back, and we just finished watching 2019's Babyteeth, which is currently streaming on...
Was it Hulu?
Hulu, yes, yeah. Right. I had to think about that for a second. Directed by Shannon Murphy with screenwriting credits to Rita Kalnejais, written by based on a play by Rita. This tells the story of a family who is coming to grips with a terminal child and what I guess that end of life looks like. And from the girl's perspective, I guess, falling in love and being hurt.
I guess I kind of felt this was a very unpleasant film. I mean, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a bad movie. It was just unpleasant to watch just because of the subject matter. And also just how broken everybody was in it. And even the girl, like, she was not pleasant. She wasn't a nice, to me, she wasn't really a nice kid. I mean, granted, she's dying, but I guess
I don't know that she wasn't a nice kid. I think she just I mean,
she wasn't making anything easier for her parents.
Yeah, but I think that she came from, like you said, a dysfunctional family. I mean, the father was like ready to have an affair with like the pregnant neighbor across the way.
Across the street, yeah.
Yeah, and from what the music teacher said, I'm assuming the wife stepped out on the father.
I think that she was dating the music teacher before she dated the father.
No, but I think during the marriage, I think there was a line in the film that it made it seem like, oh, she's been stepping out on the husband.
I didn't pick that up at all.
Oh, I can't remember where exactly, but it seemed like that.
Yeah. To me, it was the mother was the illness basically made the mother a mess. The father's answer to that was basically
sedate her,
dope her up with every possible drug that he could think of because he's a psychiatrist and.
It'll ease her pain, I guess.
It'll probably ease his pain too.
Sure.
Because once she stopped taking the drugs, he was like, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah.
And the guy having his wife be like that, I guess, I don't know. Maybe that made him not want to be married to, or not want to be in that committed to that relationship anymore, because he was clearly looking elsewhere when he saw the lady across the street, and her being pregnant didn't even like dissuade him from
trying to tap that.
Yeah, and then on top of all of that, like I was saying, most films about kids who are dying or something like that, the kid, okay, they fall in love or something like that, but they're never they're never like really that horrible to their parents or anything like that.
Well, she's a teenager.
She's a teenager, right? So I guess this was kind of more true to life.
And you also have to think, I mean, she's at that age where she's not young. So
she was 16.
She was 16. I guess she hit 17 by the end, but she was old enough to know that there was so many things that she was going to miss out on.
Yeah. So like I was saying.
So I think that she's
interrupted.
Sorry.
So like I was saying, she was more true to life to an actual teenager than what you're than what you're more accustomed to in most films where the teenager is dying and they're sort of like wise beyond their years, but they're not a pain in the ass or anything like that. And this kid was kind of a pain in the ass in that she's just like, okay, this guy, I want him to be my boyfriend. And he's a piece of shit. He is a piece of shit through, I would say, a good 75% of this movie. He is just a piece of shit. And you think, oh, well, he's a nice guy. He's got a heart of gold. No, he's a piece of shit. He's pretty much leading her on. He breaks into her house to steal drugs. He's not really competent in that respect, even with the assistance of the mother, who basically just wants him to get out of the house before the daughter sees that he's there. And then she seeks him out, and he like abandons her in the middle of the night on a rooftop where she's almost dies.
Right, because she's not taking her medicine or
Yeah.
anything.
And then it's like, oh, when the father like eventually does confront him or like goes out and seeks to find this guy, that's when he said he was playing basketball. He was fine. Oh, is she dead? Oh, no, he was a piece of shit. And then he's like, okay, stay with us. And if you stay with us, I'll give you as much drugs as you want. So he's like, cool. And everything seems fine. And then like that gets exposed. And then and the daughter even knows. She's like, you're just here because my dad's hooking you up with drugs. And only after he gets rejected by his mom again, because I don't know what the hell's going on there, but the mother wants absolutely nothing to do with him. He goes back, and then he decides he's going to clean himself up. And only then does he seem like a redeemable character. So yeah, this was just, like I said, this is an unpleasant film. Everybody is just a wreck.
I didn't see it that way. To me, this was a very heavy film. Being a parent, I'm sure you think the same thing. And especially since she was like their only child, this was it. There's that scene with Essie Davis and Ben Mendelsohn where he's crying and she's crying and he's like, we're losing her. Because they finally, I guess, confront the fact that whatever this is, it's terminal. And there's no coming back from this. I mean, she's going to die. So I think that scene is very potent and probably very true to life. And I think that these people, I mean, everyone's flawed. Everyone makes mistakes, whether you're a parent or not. Everyone makes missteps, and sometimes we hurt the people that we love along the way. Not that we mean to, but whether it's pride or ego or whatever the thing is. But I think that the thing that I really liked about this movie was that I think at the end of the day, the Milla character saw the best in Moses, even until the very end, where she turns to her father and she's like, promise me you'll take care of Moses. And by extension, maybe continue the father's love for her by doing this thing that he asked her to do.
She asked him to do.
Right, she asked him to do.
Okay.
Sorry. So I think that, and I think as far as Moses was concerned, I think that he's a 20-year-old boy. He doesn't, I mean, I remember being 20. You couldn't tell me nothing. So I think that he didn't know how to react or how to be a decent guy. I don't know that he had that experience. There's that scene where he's telling Milla how the one time he spent with his father he barely spoke to him.
Yeah.
So this kid hasn't had great male role models in his life. And that's not an excuse, obviously. And but I think not having that positive male role model led him down a road that probably wasn't good. And the mother, probably being a single mother, just didn't have the bandwidth to save herself, save her younger son, and to save Moses. So something was sacrificed here. And I guess in this case, it was Moses. Because she seemed to dote on Isaac, the younger brother.
As far as we could tell.
As far as we could tell. And the dogs, I guess. Although she was okay enough to allow Isaac to interact with the brother by going to Milla's birthday party.
Yeah, because she wasn't anywhere present during that whole thing.
But Isaac was.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I looked at it completely different. I mean, I think that people make mistakes, and I think that when you have a situation like that where it's a life and death situation, things get put into perspective. I mean, there's that, you mentioned the scene where Ben Mendelsohn confronts Moses and he tackles him and he's like, listen, you're not what I would have wanted from my girl, but she seems to think that you're special, so this is what's going to happen. Because at this point, Milla should have whatever she wants.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, they were trying to do the best they could with what they had. And there's no blueprint, obviously, because you just don't know.
Yeah, they were just trying to make her happy at the end of her life.
Exactly. Everybody was just kind of winging it.
Yeah.
And I think it could have been messier. I think that's
And
the nice thing about this movie. It felt very true to life, and it felt like messy life. And it's funny, the other thing that I thought about while I was watching the film was there was a lot of music in this, but it didn't bother me like it does in other films. And I think the reason why was because to me it felt the music was organic, and it lent to certain scenes. It lent to a mood. It lent to a feeling. It lent to something where it sort of collaborated with the actual story, so it didn't feel as jarring as in other movies to me.
Yeah. And I when you were talking before, it sort of made me realize, or dawned on me, that by doing what they did and allowing Moses to come into their house and make their daughter happy, it also kind of, it was like an alternative to what they had been doing, which was over-medicating themselves and basically, I guess, fleeing from your family to the point where you're trying to hook up with the pregnant neighbor.
Or be so drugged up that you don't know what's going on.
Or be so drugged up.
Well, that was also a great scene, too, when the Essie Davis character is just like, I'm off of all of them because I want to be present.
I want to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was after Moses had
come back.
Yeah. Or had been invited in. Yeah, so that was sort of like, I guess, like a turning point for the family that turned out for the better, which you wouldn't suspect. Hey, let's invite a
right.
A drug
and this
dealer
also gives them a sense of like continuance, I guess, with Moses, because it's like, this was like the thing that I gave you, this charge, kind of. And I think at some point Moses will be forced to grow up. And
well, I feel like he was
watching it,
I feel like he was on his way to already doing that because he voluntarily cleaned himself up.
Right. But I feel like too, I mean, there's obviously, he has a long way to go, but I think at the same time, this experience brought them all together, and he's almost going to be like a surrogate son to them.
It would seem to be leading that way. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he could go back to his bad ways.
It could be anything, but he would be a fool if they offered to turn that away, because it's better for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny because even though this was a very heavy topic,
very, and very sad.
Very sad, but it wasn't presented that way. Everything is colorful and joyful.
I would not say this is a colorful movie.
You don't think so?
Not a colorful movie. No.
I think so.
No, this whole thing looked like it was filmed on overcast days. Even when they went to the beach. I thought it was filmed in England. It was like so overcast.
That's not true.
No, everything in this film is muted. There isn't a vibrant color in this entire movie.
I disagree. Her wigs, her dresses.
Even her wigs and dresses.
I don't know.
There's not a... I don't think I...
I mean, it wasn't like La La Land colorful, but it was...
It was
still colorful to me.
I'm
looking at the neighbors' clothing. I'm looking at Anna's wardrobe. I'm looking at Milla's clothes. I mean, when he's playing hoops, when Ben Mendelsohn chases him, it's bright daytime. When she's waiting for him at the school, thinking that he's going to show up, and she gets mad and she's like talking to those two girls, she's like, "What are you looking at?" It was a sunny day.
Just because it's a sunny day don't make it colorful.
There was still a vibrancy to it that doesn't exist in other muted palette movies. Like, this didn't look like Justice League. This did not look like that.
No, it wasn't. That's like beyond muted. That's just like dour.
Right. So
this was muted. It wasn't it wasn't a colorful film. No, it wasn't. There weren't any bright, cheery colors in this movie.
I don't know. I mean, not bright, cheery, but I think there was vibrancy in that certain colors came across, and it could have been a more subdued palette, but it wasn't. Especially for the topic. Like, you would think a topic like that would be more... This film would be more muted. But it wasn't.
We're gonna have to disagree on this one.
You're wrong, of course.
One, I mean, that was something that I actually noted, that it wasn't a colorful film as I was watching it.
But you're wrong.
Okay, you could say I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody on this planet would say this is a colorful movie.
Not like Wizard of Oz colorful, not like La La Land colorful. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like this explosion of color. It was just for what it was. I expected it to be a more muted and subdued color palette, and it wasn't. There was vibrancy. You walk into their house, and there's like this huge like plant section, like. You have a tree growing.
Their house was interesting. It was like they had a garden inside the house.
Yeah.
But guess what? There weren't any flowers.
No, but there was still greenery, and there was still stuff growing inside of it.
Yeah, but it wasn't. When you describe colorful or bright, I'm thinking like reds and yellows and stuff like that.
No, I mean, you know what? This was colorful the way Blue Velvet was colorful.
I don't remember Blue Velvet at all.
Really? No. All right. Moving along.
Moving on. Yeah.
What did you think of the performances?
Oh, as far as that goes, everybody was great in this.
Fantastic. Yeah, I really, really liked everyone.
Yeah. I fully believed every single character that was on the screen. Yeah. There wasn't.
I've never seen Eliza Scanlen.
Is that
That's
the
Milla.
daughter, the Milla?
Or Toby Wallace.
Who was Toby Wallace?
He was Moses.
Oh. Wasn't the neighbor Toby?
Oh yeah, the pregnant woman.
That was her name.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the performances were great. The interactions, the dialogue was good. There wasn't any corny nonsense. I could have done without the little placards.
Oh, okay.
Those, I don't know if they added anything, and I just thought they were kind of weird.
It was kind of off-putting. I didn't.
And there was also, and it was also, I noticed they did something in the beginning of the movie that they sort of dropped, where she would stare at the camera.
Yeah.
It was like she did it twice, very noticeably in the beginning of the movie, and then that was just gone. They just totally dropped that sort of thing, and I'm glad they dropped it because it was a little weird. I'm like, don't stare at me. Don't stare at the camera. This isn't like a fourth wall breaking type movie.
No, I agree.
And there was also like that. There was one placard that led to like just her. I guess maybe she was getting chemotherapy or something, or radiation, where she just like got that strip of light on her face.
Oh, with the dead Tell Anna.
With a dead Tell Anna, and then it was just, all right, next placard. It was like, okay, that was a little bit of unnecessary artsiness.
Oh, I don't know. You know what? It's funny that you brought that up, because when I saw that, I thought about my mother, who, when she passed, or I don't know if this is like a universal experience. I feel like I've heard stories like this before, but when I guess people are closer to death, they're more aware of the spirits around them and stuff. And I remember my mother having conversation with somebody in a room, and her telling me another time when I went to visit her that there was a man sitting in the corner. So I don't know. I mean, just while I was watching it, I thought of that. Again, I don't know if that's a thing, but I feel like I've read about stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting.
Overall, what did you think of the movie? Give it a number.
Overall, I'd give it an 8.5. I think really, really strong performances, heartbreaking topic. I mean, this is obviously... I mean, I feel like no good parent wants to outlive their child, and to have that knowledge that you are going to bury your child. I mean, how do you live? How do you go from day to day? I'm sure you have to be strong for that child, but at the same time, it's like, when do you get to break down? When do you get to fall apart? And how do you get yourself back together? It's very hard. I mean, again, the scenes were just breathtakingly beautiful and very nuanced. I really felt for Anna, who was the mom in the Babadook. I think I told you that, right?
Yeah.
Didn't feel like the same person in this. Obviously not, because she's playing a different character. But sometimes when you see people, they just look a certain way, and they're always that person. But she really blended into this and was just magnificent and just heartbreaking. And that scene where she's like, I want to be present, or the scene towards the end when she's beating on Moses and saying that Milla wasted her last breath on him. That was tough. I didn't cry. I expected to, but I didn't cry. But at the same time, it really felt like a gut punch, that scene.
Yeah, well, I mean, that scene and the scene that followed at the beach, to me, were the most emotional.
Powerful, yeah.
Because the father knew.
Right, yeah. And she was basically...
At the scene of the beach when she says, I'm tired.
Right.
He knew this was it. And he knew that morning when he came out and said, oh, she doesn't need the morphine.
Yeah.
And he just stopped, and you could see him. The mother, it didn't register at the moment.
Mother, yeah.
Yeah, but he knew.
Yeah.
And those, to me, were...
And even the scene when he's in the room with Milla, taking off her wig and just stroking her and kissing her and, I guess, saying his goodbyes. And then, like you said, the scene on the beach where he's like, we'll be all right, right? That's it's funny because Henry was played by Ben Mendelsohn, who we'd seen in The King. Completely different parenting. I mean, still not 100%. I don't know what Henry was thinking, kissing pregnant Toby there. That scene, it's funny because it felt very out of place. And I just didn't understand, like, why. I mean, if you're going to do this, why would you do it with the pregnant neighbor across the way and then invite her to your daughter's birthday party?
I feel it was just part of, like, everybody trying to escape the situation.
Possibly.
The wife escaped into drugs. He escaped into whatever the hell that would have turned into.
Sure.
And then... I think, like, right after that...
Well, he wouldn't have had to worry about getting her pregnant.
Yeah. Well, I think right after that, he realized, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah,
and, of course, the answer to that was, I'm just going to inject morphine.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, you know what? It's working for my wife. Escape into drugs. And
that was a little bizarre. But
and I think maybe after that point, it was just like, all right, we just got to try something crazy here.
Yeah.
And
we'll just have this kid live with us.
We'll have this kid live.
Well, the other thing was, the other weird thing in this, I mean, I don't know if it was role play, but like their appointments, Anna and Henry's therapy sessions.
Yeah,
what was that?
That was bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know if it's games people play or this was really, I don't know. That was just weird.
It was like, okay, we got to make some time for ourselves to have sex, and I'm gonna eat a sandwich when we do it. Okay.
I thought of that Seinfeld episode.
Just bring in like a hero and a plate of fettuccine and just go at it. I mean, like I said, I found this film very uncomfortable and unpleasant. It was good, but I'm not going to give it that high. I'll probably give it a 7.
All right. 7's still good.
7's good.
I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, there was...
If you want to be sad, if you feel like
I don't think it was like overpowering. Like, I'm the biggest
You're the
crier.
weeper, yeah. Well, at the end...
CBS Sunday Morning wrecked me. So...
Hell, that commercial.
Yeah.
It wasn't even CBS Sunday.
Oh my gosh, that commercial with that little girl, yeah.
Anyway, okay, so
7, 8.5. I would recommend it. I think it's a good kind of family drama film. There's really excellent performances, good script, good camera work, good costuming, good set direction. I really like the house. What did you think about the house? It felt like it was trapped in time in like the 70s.
They had a very interesting house. You know what? I may have liked this movie. It was a little bit shorter. I think maybe it was like, okay, we're on a kind of a depressing ride, an unpleasant ride. Let's make it as long as we can. And this felt like a long movie to me.
It's not short. No, it's let me see. How long is it? Was it an hour and 58 minutes?
I don't know. It felt long.
An hour and 58 minutes. That's short, not short. Oh, close to 2 hours.
It's a 2-hour movie, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I was justified in my feeling that it was a long movie.
It was a long movie, but it didn't. I mean, to me, it didn't feel long. I mean, I was definitely invested in the characters. I went wherever they took me. I feel like I could have done without the rave scene. I'm not really sure how that added to anything.
Yeah, that was another thing that was a little bit too long. Also, another example of Moses being a scumbag. He's just starts making out with, I guess, his girlfriend.
Yeah, some other.
Well,
he did tell her he had a girl.
Yeah.
Didn't he at the beginning?
And then he still leaves with her when I don't know what was going on. That weird bald lady. I don't know. Anyway, you'll watch it and you'll be baffled as much as we were. Okay, so that's it.
All right, that's it from us. Look at you trying to wrap this up.
Yeah,
I want
let's
to
wrap
talk
it
about
up.
this more. No, just kidding. That's it from us, and we'll come back with another review soon. Good night.
Okay, good night.